I think it's time to jump into the final segment for today, which we call the Rapid 7. It's called the Rapid 7 because there are 7 questions. And the answers have to come really fast.
Okay.
After the questions. It's just the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
Paul, do you like to start this?
Yes. We'll get started right away. A personal subject, something that I happen to value very much, that I understand that you have some perspective on. Zebras or unicorns?
Zebras.
Right.
Or what they say, zebras.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Next question.
Fair enough. The most difficult question you ever had to answer?
When my daughter was 8 and she asked me, Mama, will I have it too? In reference to breast cancer.
Yeah.
That was the most difficult ever question that I have had to face in my life.
That's rough. Question 3. We'll jump forward. Describe the future in one word.
Hope. There's a lot of hope.
Describe the present in one word.
Chaos. There's a lot of chaos.
Certainly is. That's good. Describe your state of mind in one word.
Serene.
Nice. A proper response to
That's
chaos.
important in chaos. Absolutely. Absolutely. What has been your favorite age thus far?
When I reached 40. 40 was that's when the time you're like, oh, fuck it. I won't listen to other voices anymore. That's when I truly embrace myself.
You are giving me not only hope, but a feeling of serenity. This is exactly what I need to hear.
It's the best. It's the best. And at the same time, it's a lot of really self-reflection. So it's a very good space.
That's good. An inspirational message in no more than 5 words.
Be selfful.
Fantastic.
Have it brief, short, concise, strong, powerful. It encompasses everything that we've discussed thus far. I love it. I love it.
We've even established and agreed on the lexicon.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, we did. Yes, we did. I think this should go hand in hand with Angels of Chaos. Selfful Angels of Chaos. And hope.
A lot of it.
Well, I think, and this has been part of my obsession for the past 2 years because of everything that is happening with COVID-19 and the pandemic, but also, and perhaps even more so, because of what's happening in Lebanon at the present moment with 90 to 91.5% devaluation, hyperinflation in the top 3 in the world, next to Venezuela and Zimbabwe, and then right after that, Syria and Sudan. So it's a complete disaster from that perspective. And capital control and fuel shortage and electricity problems. Luckily enough, I had none today. So when there's all of that chaos, what is the driver? What is the motive? How can we move forward without hope, without serenity? And I think those two that you said, the state of mind and the way you look at the future, which is with hope and serenity, these are really very they're strong anchors when we live through chaos, when everything around us is chaotic. These are 2 things that really give us structure, that give us some sense of certainty, while being uncertain. So the certainty that I am serene, that no matter what happens, I'm in control of my mindset, of my peace of mind. I have agency over that. And embracing uncertainty. I don't know what tomorrow would look like. There is no certainty that it's going to look like anything that it looks like today. And I think these 2 are very, very powerful.
And I think there's a breaking of the mindset here, to that extent of never in our lives have we been certain of anything except death. So it is a fallacy that we're living in this world that there is certainty. So if we break that barriers out and take that mindset out, what is left for us is a space of possibility, that we can experiment, that we can try new things, that we can redesign ourselves, that we can reinvent ourselves, that we can, like what Paul said, like that we can do things that can shift the course of time.
Yeah.
One step at a time.
Exactly.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the interesting part is that we don't want certainty in life, because if everything is certain, then everything is boring. Then we don't have free will, that we don't have agency, we don't have power over we don't have change, we have nothing. So certainty is we, for some reason, we want to have certainty because it's our needs as primates to know what's happening in the world around us, to protect ourselves, to survive, and this is part of what we carry in terms of how the brain is wired and how we interact with the external world. But if we break it down, as you said, Lana, we realize that we don't want that in our lives. This is the last thing that we possibly would want to have. Imagine if we're 100% certain of everything that's going to happen in our lives from the moment we're born to the moment we die and beyond. How crushing that could be, how boring that could be.
Yeah, there's not a lot that would make me angrier than that. Just
dismal, right?
right. This is the concept of this. And I mean, we shouldn't have to worry about this idea of some kind of fate or predestination. Things will happen sooner or later in our lives. There may be some degree of inevitability in them, but what we choose to do with our time is what determines that. It's those choices that make that difference. If we feel like we're locked into the choices that we will inevitably make, then that takes away from the value of the present moment. It takes away from that sense of agency. And we don't have a lot of control, but we can at least determine the value we show for ourselves and for other people. We can do that. That's within our grasp. And nothing takes that away. Even if it's something that we were fated to eventually do, to show the people in our lives that we care about them, the way we care about them. I think it's important to think of it not as a prescription, something that is forced upon you for how you must act, but to think of it instead as a description from a different perspective of how you chose to act when the moment came. That's what matters. It's the character that we determine for ourselves, shaped by hard situations and those wounds that we receive in life. They all shape who we eventually choose to become. And
Connecting the dots here.
Exactly. And we don't lose that.
And yeah. And I love what you said about that. And as you were talking, in my mind, I was there's a beautiful sentence from Pascal Mercier's book, Night Train to Lisbon, which was later on directed by Billy August. There's a movie, and in the book there's a book that is Inception 2.0. So in the book there's a book, and the book is written by the hero, the main character, Amadeo Prado, in the context of Portugal. And in that book, within the book, there's a beautiful sentence that really encompasses what you're trying to say, Paul. It's, if I remember it well, it says, what should be done with all the time that lies ahead of us? open and unshaped, feather light in its freedom, lead heavy in its uncertainty? Is it a wish, dreamlike and nostalgic, to stand again at that moment in time and take a completely different turn?
Mm.
And there's so much these, as a time travel, Paul, I think you're certainly going to appreciate this. There are so many layers of time, from the past to the present to the future, that are boiled down to that one thing, which is, what can we do? What can we do with the time that we have? What can we do now, so that we don't go back to the past in the future to take a completely different turn?
Exactly. There's no room for regret if you are aware of the present moment and you are making the most valid choice based on what you know from the past. Once you get to the future, if you know you did the best you could with the resources at your disposal, that was the best you could do. You can only be proud of it, and you can only make new choices in the new present. That is the key to being a good time traveler, because this whole concept of time travel, it sounds like tourism. You know, you shouldn't be doing it for tourism purposes. That's crazy. Be practical and be proper time travelers, because we are all moving into the future one moment at a time. So we all have the room to do it well and professionally. On behalf of the Time Repair Corporation, I would really love to thank you, Lana, and I'm sure that Alexandra, on behalf of PersEd, feels very similarly. This has been a fantastic conversation, and I've gotten a whole lot out of this personally. I actually took some notes in the background just for myself, but I want to thank you for taking time to be a part of this interview and to share these thoughts and your poem. I definitely want to make sure that we get that out there for people, because that's something that I think reflects the experience of a lot of people. Yeah. Thank you for being a part of this.
Yep, covered. Go ahead, Lana.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me. And I do hope it steers a lot of conversations also with those who would be watching this.
Yeah, and I think we have covered the span of so many different topics, from education to psychology to philosophy to poetry. We ended up with having a metaphysical conversation on the meaning of life and time traveling, to sci-fi, pragmatic sci-fi, that is.
It's only sci-fi if you
span.
haven't gotten to that part in the future yet. It's
So we truly have covered a variety of topics. And when I first said that Lana wears a lot of virtual hats that you perhaps cannot see, I hope by now you can see them, because they have been revealed one after the other with all the different conversations. I myself have discovered hats that I didn't know existed, and I'm very happy that I discovered this today. So if I discovered like a couple new hats now, I hope that you appreciate all the different hats that you got to kind of discover now with us. I think it was a beautiful journey. It was more than just a podcast or a conversation. We really went on a journey into the self and back out there. And I absolutely loved every single moment of it. So on behalf of PersEd, Paul, on behalf of the Time Repair Corporations, wow, I didn't know it was that hard to pronounce. On behalf of the Interchange mission, vision, ethos, on behalf of our audience, that I hope will also take notes, because I did take notes as well. Thank you so very much. And if you have any last words other than be self-full that you'd like to share, this is the moment.
One of my mentors said, wherever you are, own the energy you bring in the room. And
yes,
this is what makes things different, this kind of conversation. is us owning the energies we bring in the conversation. If we can, step into that, step into that power of owning our energies, owning ourselves, that self-fullness that we bring in the room. There's quite a lot of, gifts that you're bringing out to people.
Fantastic.
I love it. That's the perfect way to end the podcast today. I wish you all the best of luck and the best of joy on this path to being self-full again. And we'll see you again very, very soon.